Hey everyone, it's your Uncle Ken. Come on and join me here in the crypt for a bit. I want to talk to you guys about some old school European death metal from the 90s. Yes, sirree, Bob. Let's have some fun with this, guys. I just wanted to do a little bit different of a video as opposed to the usual, new releases and whatnot. Let's throw in some old school death metal once in a while here in the crypt, because we got a lot of it here in the crypt, and I want to show you guys some of these things I'm going to show you today. You guys may already know about. You may have heard them. You may have seen them. Some of you may even have copies of it. Some of it you may not have heard. Some of it you may not know about. So that's the part that I'm always trying to get out to you guys, is some of these things that you may not have heard before. I want to get some new music thrown at you, whether it's something from today or from yesteryear. So let's just dive into it, shall we? But in the background, I took this CD off the old CD shelf there, and it's fairly obscure, I think. Now, it's probably not super pricey going to find this, but it's a band from Poland, a death metal band called Ebola. And this is their Suffering and Pain CDR. Now, this was released back in 2004. And anytime I think something was released in the 2000s, I think, oh my God, that's kind of newer. Yeah, this is almost 20 years old, so it's not all that new, is it? But this is their Suffering and Pain album that was released on CDR by a label called Eyes of the Dead Productions. I have no idea how I got this. As I looked at this, guys, honestly, I see some other CDRs by this same label that I have here in the crypt, and I think I must have placed an order. Back in the early 2000s, you guys may have heard me say this before, CDRs were the thing for bands to press their demos on CDR. Lots of labels were producing CDR productions of things as opposed to cassettes. Cassettes took all but a back seat to the CDR world. So in the early 2000s, it was all about the CDR. But yeah, anyways, this is what we're playing in the background. This is the extended version, which has a couple of live tracks on top of the album. So I don't know if this was ever repressed on an actual CD or by a label. Not sure, didn't check that, because I'm playing the CDR extended first version that I know of. Anyways, check it out, man. Ebola, Suffering and Pain, death metal from Poland. You guys should check that out if you haven't already. But all right, guys, let's get into some European old school 90s death metal. I'm really excited to show you guys some of this stuff that I have for you, because I know, again, some of you may have seen this stuff before. Maybe some of you know about some of these demos and EPs that I'm going to show you. Maybe some of you haven't. I know some of these, a couple of these at least, you're not going to find on YouTube even, because I searched for them and I didn't see them. So anyways, hopefully this introduces you guys to some new music. But one of the first demos I want to show you and give you a little info about is this band, and this is ANCESTOR. And ANCESTOR was a four-piece between the years 1992 and 1998 from Finland, and this is their Ethereal Devotion demo 1992. Now, it was the band's first demo, and here's the cassette that I have. They changed their name to KALMAH and are still active today, but recorded 5 demos between the years 92 and 98 under the ANCESTOR moniker. So they recorded 5 demos under this band name. Now, this demo is 4 tracks and clocks in about 14 minutes long. A late 80s thrash root, right? Not quite carrying the heaviness to call this Huron death metal. They did for sure carry their thrash root with this demo. You can hear that in the mix for sure. But it does dabble on the heavier side of things, and it does incorporate a lot of melody in their mix with some grind influence and a gruff death metal vocal style. So you can hear, there are parts of the songs on these tracks that a band in the, being in the early, being this 1992, it's yet early 90s, the band still hasn't quite shed that thrash root yet, and that's why I wanted to talk about this band, because fairly obscure is this demo, I believe, fairly obscure was the band themselves, and just to hear a band kind of shedding that thrash root from the late 80s and bringing it to a heavier place, especially in the vocal department. Very cool early signs of early death metal, right? Very cool stuff. But check out the snippet that I prepared for you guys, and the track is called Sceneries of Life from ANCESTOR and their Ethereal Devotion demo. Check out this little snippet. All right, guys, did you hear that thrash root that wasn't quite being shed, but yet they're taking some of those pieces of the music in that track into that heavier side, at least, especially in the vocal department. You kind of heard that with Ancestor, so it was cool always to get a demo of a band that, it's had that thrash root, that headbanging thrash root, but taking it to a heavier place. Very cool stuff. I always enjoyed hearing that very early European death metal vibe. Always loved that stuff, but very cool stuff. So if you can find that on the old YouTube, go check it out and see what you can find, if you can find any more info. I'd love to get comments on here, and maybe we can share some more info about some more European old school death metal. It'd be cool. All right, guys, take a trip with me from Finland, and then we're going to go all the way to Denmark. Well, it's not that far. It's only about an hour plane flight, if I recall, right? So let's go to Denmark and talk about our next European death metal band, which was this. And this is Pugnacity. And Pugnacity was a 3 to 4 piece Danish act, and this is their People Live Their Lives demo, 1992, which was the last demo the band recorded under the name Pugnacity. They didn't change their name before this banding, I should say. This was their last demo. Now, preceding this demo was a rehearsal demo and a promo, both recorded in 1991. So a couple recordings before this, they would record this, then they would disband. Now, this demo is 8 tracks and 40 minutes long. Now, it's still considered a demo, but for a demo, that's a pretty long listen, 40 minutes. But it's a pretty good 40 minutes. Now, this demo definitely sees a European band, underground death metal band, shedding that thrash root. You don't hear as much of a thrash root as much as you hear the borning of European-style death metal, for sure. They have a very thick guitar tone on this, heavy guitar sound. Again, the thrash roots have been shed, all but shed. This carries a very slow, menacing tempos with a good, gruff, brutal vocal to it. Very cool stuff. So, again, I kind of chose this band to show you, to talk to you about. Secondly, with Ancestor from Finland being a little bit more having that thrash root, Pugnacity definitely pulling away from that thrash root, probably of their first 2 releases and demos, to a more death metal European vibe, for sure. Very, very cool stuff. I wish I could tell you guys, give you guys some sort of a story of how I got these demos. Maybe I had some cool story about writing the band. But as I go along with these, I'm hard pressed to remember how I got some of these. Did I write to the bands? Maybe. I just don't quite remember. Did I buy them in distros? Maybe. Probably back in the early 90s. I'll be honest, I don't think a ton of distros carry demos like they do today. Demos mostly came from the band, so unless I picked these up later on in life, if I got them during these years, which again I can't remember, it's probably likely I got it from the band. But again, I'll try and remember as I show you guys these demos, but as of right now, nothing's to yet recall from your old Uncle Ken. But anyways, check out this little snippet I prepared for you of the track Church of Greed from Pugnacity and their People Live Their Lives demo, 1992. Check this little snippet out. All right, did you hear that in Pugnacity? They kind of were shed. They had pretty much shed that entire thrash root. Kind of kept that more of a brutal, death metal. I wouldn't say brutal death metal, but a death metal, European death metal style, for sure, that they were helping create out there in Denmark and abroad. So very cool stuff. Pugnacity, I always liked that demo, and that's why I decided to show it. Always enjoyed that demo. All right, guys, let's take a trip from Denmark over to Poland. I don't know why I'm pointing, because I don't know where I would be at that point, but let's go to Poland. Let's check out a band from Poland. And let's check out this band. And this is NECROPHIL. And they're a power trio from Poland, and this is their Cannibal Sex cassette album, 1993, which was the band's. There's the lyrics on the back. And let me show you the cassette here. It's clear cassette with white print, very 90s style, right? Now, this was the band's first and only full length, which was originally released on Loud Out Records. out of Poland on this cassette. Eventually, this would be re-released on CD in 2005 and get a vinyl treatment back in 2019. So very cool to see that it was re-released. The band did release an 8-track demo in 1989, and this album followed before they called it quits. But what did you get with this? It had 14 tracks and clocked in at about 38 minutes long. Still keeping a bit of a thrash root was NECROPHIL, yet almost implementing a faster grind approach with a flair of technicality and a nice, deep, brutal death metal vocal. So they still had a bit of a thrash influence, although they were taking it to a heavier place, and they incorporated some grind. Now, when I say grind at the time, I know grind today is hyperspeed, but, you know, back in 1993, grind was fast. It was still fast, trust me. Maybe not, you know, quite as hyperspeed as it is today with I know with a lot, especially with the drumming techniques now. But, yeah, and that brutal death metal vocal. The vocal was definitely where it really got death metal in tune with death metal. This would probably appeal because of its goriness and that brutal death metal vocal. It definitely is going to appeal to the brutal death metal crowd, but very, very cool. Always liked this cassette. Now, I can tell you that this cassette, I did not get back in the 90s. I probably purchased this off of Discogs within the last 5 years or so, maybe 5-6 years, somewhere around there. I happened to see it. I had a copy of this on an old tape trader cassette, and I always liked it. I always thought it was great. And I saw it for purchase for relatively cheap. I think I got it for under $20, I think. And I, you know, it's not in the greatest condition, but you know what? I took a chance anyway. And the cassette sounds great, so and I always wanted it. So here we go, guys. But anyways, check this track out. This little snippet that I prepared for you of the band of the track Skrobana off of the Cannibal Sex album 1993 from the Polish NECROPHIL. Check out this track, it's good stuff. So you kind of hear that brutal gore within that vocal, which is definitely going to appeal to the brutal death metal crowd. But yet, you know, you still hear a little bit of that thrash root, maybe a little bit of that grind going there. All in one little snippet I tried to get for you in that 20-second snippet there. But go check out that NECROPHIL. Cool stuff. I've always liked that band. All right, guys. From Poland, let's head over to Italy and check out a band. All right, let's check out this band next. This is DETESTOR, and DETESTOR was a 3 to 5 piece during their existence from Italy, and this is their Wasted Soul demo 1993, which was the band's second demo release, the first being I Detest You, which was released in 1990. The band had a fairly long career with another demo release in 1995, full lengths in 1995 and 1997, an EP release in 1998, and a third full-length released in 2011 before they fell silent. But let me show you the cassette. Very old school, cool cassette. Look at that. European cassette there from 1993. Now, I'll talk about this Wasted Soul demo, but just so you can see on the back, and this is not, it's not accounted for in the band's discography, but on the B side of this, they put a promo rehearsal. I do believe I may have written to this band. I think I may have written to this band and got this demo, and I think that's maybe why. I may have asked if they did tape trading. I don't recall getting any, like doing any tape trading with anybody in the band, so maybe that's why they put this on the back of it, because they know, hey, this guy tape trades, let's let him, trade our promo rehearsal there. So that may be why they did it. Well, let's talk about the Wasted Soul demo from 1993. This is 8 tracks and about 18 minutes long. This demo was definitely still holding the thrash root of the late 90s for sure. I'm sorry, of the late 80s for sure. However, speeding up the tempos and tuning the guitars just a wee bit heavier did give this a very death thrash placement as far as I was concerned. Vocals remind me of very early Creator, as does the music, with a wee bit more heaviness added to it. So it definitely has the speed metal, thrash root to it, 100% for sure. However, it does take it to a little bit heavier of a place. The vocal, although it's very reminiscent of something, you know, from Creator, maybe the first couple Creator albums, there's just something more that does throw it to that death thrash arena. So a band that's probably shedding their thrash roots, you know, thrash, speed metal, death metal. If you've read the Finnish death metal book, Rotting Ways to Misery, you know what I'm talking about with the progression of into death metal. But DETESTOR, definitely, it seemed like they followed that route. You know what I like about this demo? Here's a little tab like that folds in. That's the band's address if you ever wanted to write to the band. So very cool. But anyways, guys, check out the snippet that I prepared for you of the track called Over the Threshold from the Wasted Soul demo 1993 of DETESTOR. Check this out. All right, guys, you hear that Creator speed metal? Maybe it's even German speed metal influence in there. I think you probably did, yeah. Definitely in wee bits of their taking it to a heavier place so that they could get into the death metal realm of things. But very cool stuff. DETESTOR, another band I'm not sure you might find on YouTube or not. I think those are one of the bands that I couldn't find. I'm not sure. Anyways, see if you can find them. All right, guys, from Italy, let's go over to Germany. I don't know why I'm pointing. I have no idea where I'm at right now. Let's go over to Germany and let's talk about a 5-piece German outfit. They were mostly a 4-piece, but later on in their career, they incorporated a keyboardist in their ranks in the later years. But the band I'm speaking of is this, and this is Path of Debris, and they were from Germany, and this is their Time, Lies, and Chains demo, 1994. Let me show you the cassette. This was pro here, man. Look at, they even put a label on this demo, even on the backside. Very cool stuff, right? So now this demo, Time, Lies, and Chains, was the band's first demo release. Now a second demo would follow in 1995, followed by 2 full lengths in 1996 and in 1998 before their untimely demise. Now this demo was 5 tracks and just over 24 minutes long. Very melodic death doom here, guys. This was probably one of the first signs of like a death doom with melody and doing it very well from Europe that I was probably exposed to. Very melodic. The band had a very melodic approach and kept tempos on the slower side of things to create a very mysterious, melodic, I keep saying melodic, mystic and heavy sound, reminding me of bands like November's Doom at the time and Dead Serenade. Heavy, doomy, melodic, incorporated some synth and keyboard. Very, very cool. Maybe even a little bit of pinch of My Dying, but early My Dying Bride in there as well. But great sense of European melodic death doom here, guys. Very cool stuff. I think you might be able to find this on YouTube. I can't remember. But very cool stuff. You guys, get the chance, definitely look into this and check this out. But anyways, check out the snippet that I prepared for you of the track called The Armor from Path of Debris and their Time, Lies, and Chains demo 1994. Check it out. See what I mean with that European melodic death doom? Love that stuff, especially from the early European scene. I absolutely love that stuff. You could get lost in that kind of music for hours on end, guys. So go check that out for sure. Path of Debris, excellent stuff. All right, so let's take a quick trip over. Since we're in Germany, let's just hop on over to the Netherlands and check out this next band, who I think some of you guys may be familiar with, but it's this band. and this is Mangled. And Mangled was a 5-piece from the Netherlands, and this is their Parish demo 1993. Now, this was the band's second demo, the first being their demo called Cadaverous in 1992. The band would go on to release an EP in 1996, a promo demo in 1997, full lengths in 1998 and 2001, a single and a split in 2004-2005, and then a final full length in 2005. A compilation of all their music put together was released in 2015 before the band fell silent. 6 tracks and almost 30 minutes long. Let me show you some other really cool things about this. It came with this little paper insert with all of the lyrics on it as well, and the logo. I love that logo, and it's like a green kind of a paper, and then a very professional for a demo back in 1993. A very professional looking cassette. Very cool. Now, what do you get with Mangled in this demo? 6 tracks, almost 30 minutes long. Pure on death metal, European death metal here, guys. This is pure death metal, which is probably why I always liked this band and like this demo. I have, like 2 CDs by this band, Most Painful Ways, and I think Witness Disposal Program or something like that. I always liked this band. I always liked their heaviness. I always liked their approach. They always sounded very European. Kind of had a little bit of a sinister touch to them. When I say sinister, I mean the band from the Netherlands called Sinister. Kind of always put them in that category. But yeah, I always liked it. Heavy guitars with some great headbanging riffage. A brutal, nice, brutal, low death metal vocal. Has a wee bit of a brutal death metal vibe as well, so it's definitely going to appeal to the brutal death metal fans as well. This band was placing themselves in the death metal arena 100% from the get-go. From this being their second demo, they just went full force into playing full-on death metal. And yeah, you can most certainly hear it in their music. This is awesome. Always loved this band. I think some of you are probably familiar with this band, but if you're not, you definitely want to go check out Mangled. But anyways, you can check out this snippet of the track I prepared for you called The Emptiness of Being from the Mangled Parish demo 1993. Go check this out. All right, did you hear that? I mean, just full-on brutal death metal from Mangled. I believe I did write to the band to get that demo. I think that was the only time I wrote to the band, did get the demo. But I did keep, pretty focused on the band throughout the years. And again, I did get a couple of their other releases because I always liked their approach and very, very cool stuff. I think most of you might know that band, but I wanted to show that demo to you anyway. All right, guys, let's take a trip back to Germany since we're so close, and we're going to check out a grind band. And the band I want to show you about is this band, and this is DYSENTERY. And DYSENTERY was a 4-piece from Germany between the years 1991 and 2006, and this is their Pathological Waste EP 1991 on Poser Slaughter Records. Check that out. Check out the back. Check out that back. The artwork says it all, right, guys? Look at that. And, back in the day, man, this is how we did it. This is how labels did it. Just photocopy paper, right? And then let me show you the 7-inch here. Very cool with just white label with black print. That's all that you need, right? Very cool stuff. Simplistic yet brutal. Now, this was the band's second release and only EP the band ever did, having 3 or 4 demos and 3 full lengths between the years 93 and 2006 before Nihilism. Death grind with super sludgy bass and tempos, reverb all over the place, brutal screaming vocals, crazy heavy grind is what you get here. Has a bit of a gore grind flair to it, I would say, just a bit of a flair, but I consider this grind or pure on death grind, and it even says up there total grind, or you can call this death grind because it does incorporate some brutality in it, so I'm going to call it could be death grind. Early napalm death and the German blood, if you will, definitely come to mind. Just killer heavy again, distorted grind, guys. This was awesome. Always liked this band. Always liked this 7-inch. Very cool stuff. Awesome. You guys want to check this out? Check out the snippet of the track Pathologist's Fun in the Morgue from the Pathological Waste EP of Dysentery. Check this out. Total grind. Grind, right? Total grind from Dysentery. Always loved that band. Always loved that 7-inch. Very cool stuff. That 7-inch, you know, I think I remember where I got that 7-inch, honestly. I was at I think it was around the, like, 93, I think I was in Ohio at a Ohio Death Fest, and someone was selling 7-inches, and I remember picking that up, and the fellow that was selling them said, "That's pretty good grind, you should get it." And it had like a $4 tag on it. So I took his word for it and I bought it, and I've never regretted that $4 purchase ever since. Very cool stuff. I do remember where I got that one. Some of these I remember, some of them I don't. This next one I want to show you. All right, so we're in Germany. Let's head over to Finland again. Let's talk about a Finnish band, all right? Let's talk about this band. And this is Putrid. And Putrid was a 4-piece from Finland, and this is their God-Forsaken EP, 1992 on Afterworld Records. Now, this was the band's only EP with the previous demos all being released in 1992 before they changed their name to God-Forsaken, who are still active today. Some comps in the later years also follow this EP, but let me show you the inside, which is always very cool. Just a picture of all 4 of the fine young cannibals that comprise the band. They're very cool. And then I'll show you the ever cool 7-inch. It's got the logo Putrid, and then on the back it's got the Afterworld Records logo with the song titles. Now, what was with this EP? 4 tracks and about 10 minutes long, so it was 4 tracks. This brings the heavy. Supreme heavy guitars with a nice doomy melancholy, with that ever so present Finnish uniqueness. Yeah, this is Finnish old school death metal all the way through. You know, bands like Pertinence and Disgrace, things like that. Bands like that come to mind when you listen to Putrid. This was definitely on the heavier side of bands, was Putrid. They definitely concentrate more on being heavy than anything else. Probably more on heaviness than uniqueness, but you can still hear that Finnish uniqueness in this band. This was pure on death metal, guys. Now, you guys may know about this. I think, wasn't it Into It Records repressed one of their demos, and I know they've had some represses on some things, but this 7-inch definitely got them noticed, by me at least. I believe I got this 7-inch from Wild Rag Records at the time, I believe. I don't think I wrote to Afterworld Records. I think I may have ordered from Wild Rag Records, if I recall. I do recall that, I think. But anyways, you guys, heavy Finnish old school death metal. You want to check this out. Check out this track that is called Who Lives Will See from the God-Forsaken 1992 EP by Putrid. Check this track out. All right, did you guys hear that Finnish uniqueness in that riffing, that heaviness from Finland? Scandinavian death metal through and through, old school European Finnish death metal. Awesome. Love that band, love that 7-inch. All right, guys, let's take a trip from Finland back to the Netherlands, where we're going to talk about a band real quick that has members that are comprised from the Netherlands and Belgium. And the band I'm talking about is this band, and this is Pathology. And Pathology, again, was a 5-piece with members spanning from the Netherlands and Belgium. And this is their Pure Lust split EP from 1994 with the Dutch death grind band bowel crust, but I'm not going to talk to you about bowel crust. Why? Not because I don't like bowel crust, because I want you to go check them out and tell me about it. So in the comments, tell me about bowel crust. I'm just going to talk to you about pathology right now. But anyways, this 7-inch was on the label Lowland Records. Now, there is pathology on the B side and bowel crust on the A side. Another very cool thing that was in the 7-inch that I always kept was a flyer of a show. Check out this, guys. This was a flyer for a show with pathology and the band Dawn and a band called Infection. And it was somewhere out there. And look at this very, very, very cool flyer that was in the 7-inch. So I always just kept it in there, but very cool, right? So what do you get with pathology and I'll just call it on their side, the Pure Lust 7-inch. So Pathology released 4 demos between the years 1990 and 1993 before releasing this EP. So 4 demos preceded this. Until silence then from the band until 2013, where they recorded their first and only full-length and released it, called Carbonized Corpses, which was band released, before eventually fading to black once again. Now this has 2 tracks on their side of the split and clocking in at around 7 minutes. Nice, gritty death metal. I chose to talk about this band because this is probably some of the most gritty, basic, no frills, organic, old school European death metal that you're going to find out there in the ether. Vocals are nice and brutal. Could definitely be appealing to the brutal death metal crowd as well. Chunky riffing with a wee bit of thrash headbanging to it as well. They kind of carried all of the spots of something that you might consider really good from early 90s European death metal. You know, it's got a little bit of that headbanging thrash, it's got enough heaviness, it's got a brutal death metal vocal, it's, you know, got a little bit of a gore element there, so it's going to appeal to fans who are looking for something more extreme at the time, right? Looking for European death metal. This is very good, but check this really cool gritty track out called Pure Lust from the Pure Lust 1994 split EP. Go check it out. Did you hear that grittiness I was talking about? That simplistic yet gritty death metal. I did forget to show you the insert that it came with. The pathology insert on one side, and then the bowel crust on the other from Lowland Records. Very cool stuff. Pathology, awesome stuff. All right, guys, then the last item. I just wanted to show you like 10 things. Why not, right? The last thing I wanted to show you. Let's take a trip back to Germany, why don't we, and talk about our last band called Professor. Professor was a 3-piece from Germany, and this is their one and only release EP called Academizer from 1993 on Epistrophe out of Germany, Epistrophe Records. This was Academizer, Professor's only release. What do you get with Professor? 4 tracks, about 11 and a half minutes long. Pure grind, guys. This was pure on grind. Let me show you the back again. Let me show you the inside. It's very cool. It's got like this flip thing where the 7-inch resides in. Let me show you the 7-inch. It's got Professor with I don't know if that's a professor or not, maybe from a university in Germany, but pure. It almost looks like a black metal cover, right? It almost looks black metal. Pure grind. This is just speedy, fast European grind. Go check this snippet out that I prepared for you. I don't even know what the track is called at this point. What track was it Professor? Maybe it's or Into the Auditorium. That's what the track is. Go check this out. Grind. What I tell you, total German grind, right? Awesome, awesome stuff, guys. That's it. That's all I wanted to show you. I just wanted to have a fun video to show you guys with some European old school death metal that maybe you guys weren't familiar with. I'll have links to all these bands and stuff below this video. So, man, go down those rabbit holes, guys. Don't leave anything unclicked. Check out everything under the sun when it comes to this stuff, because I guarantee you, you're gonna find something you like. Your old Uncle Ken would not lead you astray. And by the way, if you like this nifty zombified Preachers of Gore shirt that I'm wearing, you can go to their Bandcamp website and get one yourself. My good friend Brian Duran, who used to play bass for the band and played on this demo, the God's Vomit demo, a zombified Preachers of Gore first demo. He played on it, and he sent me this nifty shirt. So thank you so much, Brian, for sending me the shirt. Always love zombified Preachers of Gore, and I'm so glad I got this shirt. Very cool. But guys, again, this was not an all-detailed account of all European death metal and things like that. I didn't even give you all a history of all these bands. That would be a 10-hour video, right? Just wanted to show you some stuff that we have here in the crypt, and this is but just a fraction of the tip of the iceberg that awaits you out in the ether regarding European old school death metal. Plus, we have some more stuff here in the crypt that I'll show you eventually. But anyways, guys, go down all those rabbit holes, go check this stuff out. And remember to keep the flame of old school death metal as bright as you can. This is your Uncle Ken from the Death Metal Crypt, and we're signing out.